Howdy and welcome. My name is Raymond Arturo Perez, and I am the host of Oye Dimelo's Cinema Club. This week, we're watching Magnolia, which was released in 1999 and written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. And I want to introduce who's here with us. Say hello to Steve, JP, and Michaela. Dino, Jason, and Naomi.
Yeah.
Welcome. Y'all are so quiet. I'm so nervous.
Nobody said anything. Nobody.
Absolutely nothing. Cricket.
I had whiskey in my mouth, so it would have been a waste if I tried to speak while having whiskey.
Well, it's good to see everyone. I'm glad everyone survived the, I think, 3-hour, 2-minute running time of the movie. I'm curious, is this the longest movie y'all have seen as a club?
No.
What? Do we saw something longer than this?
Now.
When?
Oh, Hoop Dreams
Good,
is like 3.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is also pretty long.
Apocalypse Now, no?
I don't know how long that
Apocalypse Now, I think, is like 2.5, maybe.
Follow-up question, is this the movie that felt the longest that y'all seen?
No.
I would say, for me, yes, it did. Like, it was 3 hours and 2 minutes. I'm like, about the 3-hour mark, I'm like, this is getting a little long. And then it ended 2 minutes later.
After 3 hours.
I mean, for me was the moment I actually pressed play on the movie. That I was like, oh shit, this is 3 hours? I was like, oh wait, I thought this was gonna be like a 2-hour one, but perhaps, you know.
It definitely was not as long as my cousin's high school production of I don't know what this musical is.
Was that the name of the musical?
I felt
Right,
it was big for me too.
I tried.
You tried.
Well, yeah, I was a little nervous. I recommended the movie, and then after shouting it onto the screen, saw the running time on IMDb, and I was like, well, now I hope it's because it's so great. Yeah, initial thoughts, first thoughts.
Well, I have an initial thought, if I may. Mm-hmm. My initial thought is why did you pick this movie, Ryan?
Thank you.
Damn, right back at you. Wow.
Volleyball. Go smooth, bro.
A film school graduate of UT Austin. They love PTA there. And then follow that up with more student loans at AFI Conservatory. They don't love PTA there as much, but they do love him. And some people, like the ones that do, they have like 1 or 2 of his films on their top list. And so Magnolia, and my roommate's been begging me to watch this movie for as long as I've known him, which has been about 7 years. Or no, it's not been, it's been like 5 years. And the scene that I know this movie by is the one with Julianne Moore in it. And she has her mental breakdown at the pharmacy, and she's telling everyone, how dare you judge me, shame on you. And I saw that scene and I was like, shame on you! Shame on both of you! And if this is indicative of what I'm expecting this whole movie to be, I'm so on board. And that's why I chose this film.
Okay. So if I may continue my initial thought, I really like this movie. I had seen it. I've never actually seen it in full. Movie in bits and pieces, and it never made any sense. And I was like, oh man, this thing is so trippy, and I never quite knew what it was about because this is just not a movie you can just watch 10 minutes of and have any clue what's happening. It's pretty trippy. It's pretty surreal. There's clearly a lot of what feels to be Easter eggs in this film. I didn't look any of them up, but I just get those vibes. I feel like it's a very auteur type of film. I don't know if he wrote it or not. It just feels like he did because
He did.
it just feels like it just feels like the director has so much control in this movie. Like it's very much a world that he built, and all these characters exist in this world for a very specific reason, and they run into each other for very specific reasons. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, my initial thoughts were when I watched it, like these shots are incredible. Just long, extended shots with no takes, and just to be able to orchestrate something like that alone is just incredible. It's like I don't even know how you do something like that, and he does it over and over and over again throughout the film. So I will say that this movie was very good, and everybody in it was very good. Tom Cruise was very good. People never talk about how good of an actor Tom Cruise is, but he's a very good actor. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
I mean, to go off of that,
I should go next.
I pick who goes next.
You can?
Oh no,
Yeah,
I just nobody was saying anything, so.
No,
You were saying something.
yeah, he started saying to
we can
go
talk,
off
right?
of that or whatever. Yeah.
Can y'all tell this is my first time?
I think my internet is going a little slow.
It is.
I'm shy, so you're good.
You've been freezing, but we've been hearing you, or at least on my end. So
Yeah.
Same here. Same here.
It definitely was not as slow as the narrative of the film. But
wow, tell us how you really feel, JP.
well, I personally love Dolly Parton and Sally Field. So after watching that movie, I realized I was watching the wrong Magnolia movie.
Still,
It's so funny though. Like when you said that the writer was popular at your college, I literally I think in the 2-hour mark, I turned to McKellen and said, "This guy must have been popular in college."
He literally did.
Because that's how I felt the entire my experience with the movie was like, this was obviously written by a very intellectual person, someone who knows their script writing, someone who has a story that they wish to tell and want to tell, but I was just not digging it. I was not a fan of the film. I did enjoy the performances. I mean, I've said it before in previous movies. If it's not Quentin Tarantino, I'm not a fan of non-linear storytelling. So there was times where it was hard for me to follow what was going on. And I'm gonna sound like a fucking narc or whatever, but I like to have someone to root for. And when the only person to root for is a cop, I kind of...
The little boy, bro. The little boy.
Oh man, we could go into that later too. But no, it was funny because I wanted to be invested in the film, but all I could see was how long it was taking. By the time that I realized that it was, I think 1:35, I thought that we were already in the third act of the film. I thought the movie was about to end right when the TV show was gonna end. So I was shocked when I realized, oh shit, there's still about an hour left of movie. And yeah, there was. I guess it's just it was not the best movie for me. I suppose. I guess I'm not. It just I couldn't invest in the movie that well. There was some moments of I wasn't expecting that, but nothing memorable for the movie to be I enjoyed it. It was almost very meh, and that's kind of was my initial thought. Was it was a very long meh.
I mean, it's like one of those films where you watch and you know that it's good and that you can recognize the artistic endeavors and that it's well written and you can see that it's a good piece of art, but I didn't enjoy it either. It felt very long. It was I'm pretty good about suspending that sense of belief and getting lost into things, but I kept checking the timer because a lot of this is a lot of awful people being awful to each other, and I don't know, I feel like there's just like so many ways to like make a comment on the human condition that it's just like we don't need more of that. I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's beautiful, there's wonderful performances, and I can see where this has value. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of my friends about having watched it because I'm so disappointed, and I feel like the bar was raised really, really high for me, having heard so much about the film for so long, that like actually seeing it, I don't know, like a lot of movies about white people losing it get funded, and I love a lot of them because there's so many of them out there that I've seen. And so like the cast is so great. People have been raving about this film forever. That I guess I expected more, and it did feel long. And you know, someone else who thought the film ran long, Paul Thomas Anderson. He said he'd go back and cut at least 20 minutes. So we're not alone in that.
Gee, at least 20 minutes? I will cut a little bit more than that.
Man, I didn't realize that I was doing this among a bunch of haters. So you have the little boy Stanley to root for, okay? You kind of have the cop. You kind of have a drug addict girl because you know we then find out kind of what might have happened with her and her dad and all that. So there are people to root for, okay? So I had watched this movie before, and I watched it. I mean, it came out in '99, so I was either when I watched it, I was between 13 or 15 years old, and I remember it was just one of those movies like mind blowing. You know, like it just felt so different from everything else. So like now hearing you guys kind of say that, I do remember thinking like, I wonder if Magnolia will age well, right? Like, that's just something. Was it because I was a kid that I watched it and I just thought it was so amazing, or was it really, really good? And watching it yesterday, man, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well acted, and it also just made me think about where I was when I watched this the first time. You know, it's different. Also, I watched it when I was in Paraguay, and now watching after having, you know, living in LA for so long. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I really liked it when it first came out. I must have seen it a couple times, maybe 3, and then you know, put it away, and now watched it again for the first time, and not for the first time, just watched it again. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It is so different watching it now with the whole police issue, you know? Like, I mean, in Paraguay, watching it and just thinking like, oh, he looks like a silly American policeman with a mustache, right? Not thinking much of it, and just knowing like in Paraguay, it's like, well, you could bribe a cop. So that whole thing is so different watching it, you know, as a kid, and then watching it now, and how that cop interacts with Black people and white people. So there were definitely some things that were different, but overall, enjoyed it as a kid and still enjoy it. And everyone else, don't go to film school. It ruins your capacity to just enjoy cinema for what it is.
Maybe. I'm glad you're here because I actually do want to understand why people love it so much. Yeah.
So I think I'm just being contrary because I've been watching a lot of Undisputed with Skip and Shannon and all those other shows. So I just feel like everyone was attacking this little movie, and I have to stand up. And yeah,
I will say, performances and directing though, like the cast is amazing, and and Julianne Moore is incredible. I think to whoever mentioned the give Tom Cruise some props, like also didn't think he could pull something like this off.
Respect the cock.
I mean, it's also interesting to know that like he would later go on Oprah and like bounce on her couch and like
Exactly.
there's something. Speaking of Magnolia and coincidences and things talking about each other and like da 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 da, like the fact that those two things happened with Tom Cruise, this role, and then later that moment on Oprah, I'm like, was that performance art? Was like he publicizing this movie? What really went down? Naomi, do you have any first?
I think Tom Cruise's role stuck.
Respect the cock.
Initial thoughts. I believe this movie is phenomenal. Storytelling, everything. Where's my script?
She's a foodie.
You only want to
You
write.
are selling your review to Rotten Tomatoes. I knew it.
I like how there's a message in this movie that it taps into something much larger that the eye cannot see. And then the story just intertwines and links several people. I thought it was easy to follow. I saw a lot of biblical terms. I don't know about you guys. Exodus 8.2. It was throughout the whole film. I'm like, these people are like, but he wrote the movie. I don't think he intentionally did that on purpose. Maybe he did. I don't know. But yeah, this movie has a biblical term of Exodus 8.2, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And then the frogs come down. I felt like I was watching, como dice, Moses, you know, the Moses story for a bit. So those are my initial thoughts, you guys. On the words.
The story of Exodus, like how I wanted to exit out of this movie.
Well, I think that's like the
I'm
thing
starting to notice a theme here.
about this is that like no one's saying it's a bad film. It's just not something that you sit down to like enjoy. You know, like it's something. It's like going to an art museum and like appreciating a piece of like very conceptual modern art. Like it might not be something that you can see the point of, or you can't like. There might be like layers that you're missing, but you can step back and appreciate that like someone's put work and it's gorgeous in its own way, you know. And that's how I feel about this film, and I think that's how a lot of people feel about it. Like you can recognize that it's art.
I think I mean, yeah, like it's subjective, and I think for me, because I feel like there was that trend of like big casts and somehow they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
This seems to be in that same space.
Vein, yeah.
But
So just on that, right? On the one thing that made me think of, like, was this one of the films that first kind of started that trope of just having 15 big name stars, like, and their lives intertwine and stuff like that? Because I was thinking that when I watched this again, just that it could be one of those things that is a PTA kind of has intertwined and now just feels like, oh yeah, this has always been a part of movies, but it might just be, you know, like his style.
I feel like that was made popular by Tarantino.
Yeah, with Pulp Fiction, it was definitely one of the first films that had that sort of storytelling. But then, like, this film has a bit of like kind of Crash vibes, but at least it's not as bad as Crash.
But I thought, but I think, someone had said like big names maybe, and Pulp Fiction at the time, no one, you know, there were a few big names, but not a whole lot.
And I think that's also something to remember too. Is like I wonder, like when this first came out, was Seymour Hoffman that big? Because I don't think he was. Like not during 1999. Like he obviously had like films under his belt and all that, and like but in like circles. Like he wasn't.
Was Patton Oswalt that big back then?
No, he wasn't. That's why he only had like a one little scene and only said, oh.
Right.
Also, the guy who plays Phil Coulson was the camera guy.
Nice.
So.
And Felicity Huffman was like the assistant to the kid actor.
The only big star, I guess, in that film, like
Oh, the chick.
at the time, was Julianne Moore. She was already a star when that movie came out.
I thought you were gonna say Luis Guzman was the only big actor in the movie.
He was in here too, yeah. Good one.
Yeah, no, but like the acting was impeccable. I'll get like all the performances were really strong.
Even
Well-
that little boy,
Mm-hmm.
Stanley was good.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted someone to slap the big boys so bad.
Right?
I was hoping for the lady in charge, like the kid wrangler, would maybe slap him, and if not, if Luis Guzman would just like step up and be like,
down.
"No le hables a los adultos así, mi hijo."
Did anyone notice that Luis Guzman's character's name was Luis?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Seymour was his that same name too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Philip. That's right. Holy shit.
I did not notice that.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise just acted like himself.
But the main difference is that he substituted. No, I'm not gonna go there. Never mind. I'm gonna leave
Well, the two movies that did come to mind regarding the cast were Crash, as everyone keeps mentioning, and Amores Perros. When they were both around the same time, but they came out after. That's interesting. I think some of the reviews that I looked over mentioned the ones that were kind of like tepid in the response to the movie were like he was just trying to kind of replicate like the Boogie Nights ensemble. But I think the thing that I keep going back to is in every one of these movies that I'm mentioning, there's an element of me choosing to believe in whatever structure or gathering of these characters and their purpose. And I guess as I was watching this, even like halfway through, I was still just like, I can't get into the notion that these cast of characters are somehow interconnected, even in the loosest ways, because it was like, I don't know, but it was too much.
I love that part.
And I was really aggravated. But yeah. With that said,
I mean, if we want to talk about aggravation, to me, what really like was crazy to me is that Philip Seymour Hoffman was like this character doing like putting the drugs on the thing, and he died like in real life off of stuff like this. That's really, and like seeing those like intense moments of like crying, because they were like very strong emotional moments like everywhere. I was like, no wonder actors go crazy, like people like this, because like I was just like, yo, you have to like, first of all, channel a part of your head to like do that, and when you're actually like emotional and you're like clearing all that stuff out, it's not like, and if you have to do it like on cue and like all this stuff, like it's really challenging. Like it's really like some psychopathic stuff if you think about it. But,
yeah.
Oh, crazy.
I mean, I'm trying to tread carefully with my words. Yeah, I mean, like some really crazy acting there.
Raymond is like, how do I save this? I'm like, yo, you just, I say wild stuff, just like Tom Cruise.
Respect the cock.
Yeah.
You got the clips ready.
Shame on you! Shame on both of you!
I guess like it's weird because like I'm not gonna lie.
Out of context, it's so funny.
Yeah, out of context, but like even while watching the film, like because I as a performer can respect like like to get in that heightened emotion and to get into that moment, if you're not like what's the word, like trained or like ready emotionally for that stuff, it's hard to do. It's really hard to get into those moments. But I feel like a lot of the times, like as much as I respected those moments as like, wow, this is a great performance, it almost felt unearned or almost like just narratively, like I did see like why did suddenly it went up to a 10, even though like yes, in real life in those scenarios those are pretty damn heavy, but for some reason it almost felt like from a 1 to a 10 out of nowhere, even though like that's how I read it while watching the film.
I would agree with that sentiment. That it felt unearned. It felt unearned for that particular storyline, but I feel like in the whole context of the film, it did feel earned. Like I felt like we had built up to that point of tension where we sort of needed that release. But I do agree in the context of the character, it sort of feels like we don't know why she's that heightened, about what's going on. And I will also say we don't know that she at that point in the film we don't know that she's going to commit suicide either.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of forced to believe that she's getting all these drugs for her husband, right? But then when she has that breakdown in the pharmacy, we then know that she is planning to commit suicide, and that's the guilt and the shame and the anger and the frustration all comes out in that scene because she's buying her husband's medication to kill herself.
It's weird because like when I said I wasn't just speaking specifically of Julianne Moore, but I meant like almost every other character in the film. Like Tom Cruise's outburst in the interview, for some reason for me is like that seemed kind of almost out of nowhere. Philip Seymour Hoffman getting very emotional over the elderly man was also somewhat for me out of place, I think. But also Julianne Moore in the pharmacy. I think those three moments for me kind of felt off. But like it's like when I don't know how to articulate it, because I know like if anyone was put in their positions, yeah, you would be like, whoa, what the hell? But I felt like in the film, like story-wise, for some reason, I don't think I was like in the mindset of like, oh, this is now happening. It didn't feel a smooth enough transition. That's probably just me, and I probably just missed some shit.
What do you guys think about Tom Cruise jumping on that interview lady at the end? What was he trying to do? Was he trying to like kiss her or fight her, and she kicked him off? Like, what happened there?
Oh no, it was definitely a Chad mood. Like asserting his dominance because the lady literally just castrated him during this interview, and part of his thing is seduce and destroy. The male is the dominant. He has to be the alpha or whatever. So it's just him being a prick. Like if this lady's gonna have the one up on me, I can at least fucking scare her,
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's such a man thing to do.
What's a chat? Is chat a term?
To do. I felt every part of that scene. I'm like, why is this motherfucker doing her like that? Like that shit got me fucking heated. And I'm like, hey, I probably would have socked that motherfucker if he would have told me. Like, first of all, he was already in a form sexually harassing her by like flaunting his little sword at her in the beginning of the film. Like, I mean, the beginning of the interview, that really bothered me. I'm like, that is motherfucking sexual harassment. Is she okay with this? Is she okay with this being her like part of her job? That bothered me. I'm sorry. I like got really angry. I'm like, I'm glad she stood up for herself in that moment. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, no, like his character made me so uncomfortable. It's like just watching being like, oh my god.
Which is crazy because like at the end of the movie you realize like out of the whole ensemble, even though you kind of hate him the most because he comes off completely as a douchebag, you realize, oh wait, there's even worse people in this film when the things come to light, you know?
Yeah, but like misogyny is so blatant. It's just yucky.
Yeah. That was gross.
Speaking of him being like the most hated character in the movie and very clearly a villain, he's nominated for an Oscar. Did he win the Oscar for this?
No.
I don't think the film won any awards at the Oscars. I think he might have gotten something from the Golden Globes, and they won an award at the Berlin Film Festival.
Well, this is definitely runner-up for the longest movie we watched at the Cinema Club Awards.
Well, there we are.
It could win an award, so still don't say it hasn't.
Well, there you go. I was gonna say I feel like we've all been touching on acting as like one of the strengths of the film, as well as kind of story and structure. Were there any other things that for y'all stood out?
I want to touch real quick about acting. I really think, I mean, jumping on I think what JP said, I believe earlier, or Naomi, I don't remember, but Stanley, the kid. Great actor. And John C. Reilly, extremely underrated. I think he did a phenomenal job. I'm talking like a Babe Ruth out of the park. You know, amazing job.
Yeah, he's spot on with the tone of that character for sure. What stands out to me are a few things. The special effects stand out to me. You know, the frogs and the shadow of the frogs, and I don't know how they had so many little frogs falling down from the sky. Like, that's amazing to shoot something like that. Also, like the stunt in the very beginning when the guy jumps off the building. You know, today they would just CGI that. And as I'm watching the movie, like, this is 99. They really had a stunt guy jump off a building to make that happen. And it looks incredible. And I'm really happy they keep showing it from all these different angles, because you know they shot it from different angles. And it's like, yeah, man, show every angle you can that makes sense of this dude jumping off that building, because it's dope. And then, like, what was that? Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was my message.
Oh,
on my laptop.
I thought it was something in my house. It was. I thought the fire was going off.
It's the frogs.
Also, when the guy is falling in the very beginning of the film, the gunshot to his chest, and they catch all that. I don't know how they filmed that either. And that was
that was so cool watching that, and they did like do it again and again and again. That whole part of like the opening mini story that they start off with, I thought was so exciting and interesting concept. But especially the way that person dies, where like he gets shot trying to do suicide, and the gun was the ammo for the gun was put in by himself for his parents to off each other. Just all of that was interesting.
I believe that's a big theme for the movie, isn't it?
What's up?
That's a big theme for the movie. Like, the movie's introduced as these events that are so unbelievable, but they actually happened. I don't know if they happen in real life, but at least for the universe of this movie, that's the idea, right? All these crazy events happen, and they're sort of unbelievable that they happened.
I'm sure there were several Mythbuster episodes on like a few of those incidents.
Probably.
Yeah.
There was one thing that I both liked and hated for the movie, and that was actually the sound editing and the music choice. Like,
yeah, how good was that score, huh?
The score was great, but like there was moments like I don't know if it was a choice where the music overpowered the dialogue a lot of times, whereas like I could not hear anything from several of the actors a few moments in the film, and I couldn't tell if that was a choice or not.
Yeah, I think it was where I kind of mentioned that I think at one point watching the movie with Jason, I was just like trying to hear, and yeah, they're having a conversation, but it was on purpose. It was on purpose
for sure.
What?
And when everyone as the one song that came up on the radio that everyone just happened to know. I was like, is this a classic? And I think it was a song that was made like 3 years prior to the film. So obviously it was picked by the director, like this is an important song that they believe was for the movie. But it was almost hard for me to believe, like, everyone knows this song? I've never heard this song in my life.
It was a glee moment. I felt it was a glee moment. I was like, everyone does know this song. Why the fuck? Why? Why did they choose this song? Why couldn't they choose another song? Was my question. Bad glee moment. It was a good glee moment, but it was a bad song choice. That's my opinion. It's a glee moment.
I loved when they like, I don't know if they broke character necessarily. I don't think they did. But when they all started to sing along with the song, it was different. It reminds me of this one movie that I'm obsessed with, but can never remember the name of. It's something like El Amor Ideal para la pareja. Nope, that's not it. It's a really long title. It's something like either the perfect love or the ideal love for the imperfect couple.
Where is it from? Is it Spain?
I'm pretty sure it's an original from Mexico. I was gonna say it's an adaptation from blah blah blah, but no, I think it's original from Mexico. It's from the guy who did.
Sounds really familiar.
Casa de Flores, Papel.
Casa de Cuervos.
No.
No.
La Familia Peluche.
El Amor.
El Chavo del Ocho.
Definitely not that. Casa de Flores. Manolo Caro. And the movie is
Amores Puros.
Wait, what is it? La vida inmoral de la pareja ideal.
Imagine that on a ticket.
La vida inmoral para la pareja. That's dope.
This is a long way of me saying there's this awesome there's this awesome scene in that movie where the characters break out of character and into song in the midst of a dinner scene, and I'm just like, I appreciate a little like
Glee.
for this. I'm not sure if it's gonna work.
Oh my gosh, that didn't My Big Fat Greek Wedding do the same thing? Or another film? There's another film, but this is a white person movie for sure, where they started singing some 80s song out of nowhere during a dinner scene, and it was weird.
Was it just this movie dubbed in English?
It might have been a remake, maybe. I don't think
they
so.
also lip sync to an 80s song.
Oh my
Estrechas
God.
de corazón.
Because I know that this is gonna sound terrible. I know that the date movie spoofed that scene, so it's like, oh my gosh! I know it's from some silly rom-com that a worse parody movie decided to make fun of, and both scenes are in my head right now.
Well, that's the second favorite part of the movie for me.
Dead air. We got dead air, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that was weird. I was going to see how long that went on for.
I'm gonna take over and say, how many lines did this girl do? Jesus Christ. She was just constantly going to the bathroom, and doing them lines. You know what I'm saying?
That's an interesting point, Steve, and I'm glad you brought it up because her performance was really peculiar to me. I didn't understand where it was coming from. She was like an emotional wreck throughout. And I mean, I guess the thing, I didn't recognize her as the same girl with the father issue either initially. But she's like really going through it. And so she's like, dusting through that. I mean, she's like going through that dust like it's going out of style. And it's really strange. And I gotta say, like, although everyone in the movie was really good, a few of the people who weren't famous in the movie, performances lacked, if that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course they're up against literal like Hall of Famers that we don't know they're Hall of Famers yet. But Philip Seymour Hoffman and John C. Reilly and Julianne Moore, and the deck is stacked.
Mhm.
And everybody's good in the movie, but the less famous people just aren't as polished, I think.
It was kind of crazy because like I kind of felt the opposite actually. Like with her character, I'm not sure who the actress is, but just like her choices, like it was almost like an enigma where out of all the things that made no sense, that was the one thing that I was like, I want it to make sense. Like I was intrigued by her. I wanted to know what her beef and deal was, to like why she's acting so strange, why she's doing so much drugs, and why she like seemingly wanting John C. Reilly, but also very much hesitant, like kind of self-defeatist. And then when you find out that that her father molested her, it was like suddenly my mind's like, wow, the dots are finally connecting. And I was actually glad that the movie ended with her because she was the only one that I was actually kind of rooting for, other than John C. Reilly. Like she was the most intriguing to me. I didn't know what was up with her, and I was kind of okay with that because that was the one thing that I wanted to learn more about. Like I could care less about the kid being smart and like being literally abused by everyone in the show, including his dad. And like the kid prophet, I didn't really care about the kid prophet because he shows up twice in the movie for no reason. And then Julianne Moore's beef, I kind of didn't really care about her either. It was only the daughter where it's like, why is she like this? And like I wanted to know more from her, but everyone else I kind of did not care about.
Now,
You
did
didn't care about
did John C. Reilly turn gay at the end?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, because like he had like that whole thing with the gay character.
No, he was just
crap.
He was just trying to stop a burglary and trying to help this guy from dying from frog.
Do you guys know who that woman was? That was Felicity Huffman.
Which woman connected to that?
Yeah, the one you like.
The lady who's doing all the cocaine. That was Felicity Huffman.
Naomi, you're muted.
Oh, damn it! God damn it! I do this often. I was saying, was she sniffing cocaine or was it glass? Just kidding.
I would say, it being a very Hollywood story, it was probably coke.
Like for real in '99?
Yeah, there's no other option for these white girls. I'm just kidding.
And I haven't heard anybody mention William H. Macy yet.
Yeah.
That's.
Are you talking about the dude that's the host?
Yes, he's connected, but like his story isn't. Like there's like one single fact about him that connects him to the rest of the film, but like all of his motivations and like the things that he's choosing to do are all like very much his own thing.
I guess if anything, it was kind of to be like a warning sign for like the kid's story. Like if the kid is gonna be as famous as William H. Macy, he's gonna end up as messed up as him.
Right.
But yeah, I think
He's gonna get caught pee-peeing himself on air for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He's gonna be known as the pee-pee kid forever.
Yeah.
True. I guess for William H. Macy, like I liked his performance, and like you kind of like feel sorry for the guy for like having so much trouble and literally just living off of that one thing, like, oh, I'm the smart kid. But other than that, like, I think we didn't bring it up because there's not really much to bring up from his story.
Can I just say, you think Stanley the very next day when the news comes out and it's like, it was raining frogs, and then it's like, and we have sad news, we lost so, and it's the host of that show, and he's like, whew, I guess no one will remember the P. Thank God the host killed himself.
I honestly thought his out was gonna be the host having a heart attack on the show. I was like, oh, thank God the host had a heart attack. The kid won't have to suffer.
I thought the Joker was gonna come out, but then I remember it's not the same movie.
Yeah.
I was hoping for the host to get his comeuppance and for a better resolution for Stanley's character. I mean, he does have that moment where he tells his dad, like, hey, he stands up to his father, like, hey, you have to be better to me, like, treat me nice. But the dad does not, he still doesn't give a shit. The dad hasn't learned nothing.
Like, he didn't even look for his kid. Like,
right? Like, what the
right
fuck
away.
was
He
that
literally
about?
spent all night in the library, and then he comes back and his dad says, go to bed.
There has to be a cut where Stanley just, like, suffocates his dad with a pillow.
That would have been...
Hey, did you guys notice that library scene?
Mm-hmm.
In the library scene, he has all the books out in front of him. And while all the books are out, he's got them all like stacked around him. And the one thing I mentioned to Dino is like, this poor kid is doing what all of us would just do naturally with Google these days. And we have a bunch of windows open on our computers as we research something. But he's doing it with like 10 books in front of him. And they were kind of stacked like open windows. And this is before, like, you know, people were really...
I'm just kidding. I said he knew the Dewey system well. Does anybody know what the Dewey system is?
Yeah, it's the way you find books in the library.
Exactly. That fool knew where to go.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Yes.
But also, like, we're talking about technology. Also, Philip Seymour Hoffman trying so hard to contact Tom Cruise. Like, nowadays, you could just, like, email or just Facebook message him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you could just slide into his DMs.
Yeah.
It might have been harder to contact him, right? Like today, it would be even harder because he would have like a Twitter following with like 500K followers, and he wouldn't even check his messages.
Right.
Or it would probably be like he would add him, and somehow the ad gets trending while he's on the interview, and then his post is like, "Yo, while you were on this interview, bruh, you were trending."
Ooh, I have a question. I know we've kind of not a question. Well, no, it is a question. Bear with me. Do you have a favorite monologue in the film? Because there's some really great lines. Yeah. They're just some gems of lines, and not just
those lines.
Well, lines we're talking about monologue.
So, wait, both of you were talking at the same time.
Lines or monologues?
Oh, well, I meant what's your favorite monologue, but I was just saying there's some great lines as well, just individual lines that don't add up to a monologue.
I mean, Julianne Moore's
everything that old man said in the bar was incredible.
I agree with Ray. Julianne Moore, shut the fuck up, got to me. I'm like, damn, I feel everything about her right now.
The one that really threw me off was, well, of Julianne Moore is I had other cocks in my mouth or something like that. I lost it.
How come you didn't cue that up, Steve?
Yeah.
Forgot because I was too, the Scientology got me with that.
Respect the cock.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, I'm in, I'm into this seminar.
Fuck that seminar. It's so chauvinistic, full of misogyny.
Oh,
I called 1-866 tame her and everything, signed up.
Jesus Christ.
Nothing.
Like that desperation.
For me, it was even though I didn't like Stanley's character, like his moment where he literally is fighting the host and his the other kids. it was such an intense moment that I was like, what else is this kid gonna do? Like, he's not gonna fucking like be Joaquin Phoenix on that Murray show, right? He's not gonna fucking pull a Joker right now in this movie. But I was waiting for it because I wanted this kid to have at least a win, you know. So I was hoping that like it was go. I thought it was gonna go crazy, like, but it wasn't. But like it was more like a reflection towards like, hey, like I'm a child. I have a life. I'm not a toy. Like, stop treating me like a fucking object, you know. And you know, it's him talking to the dad, the child wrangler, and the other kids. But I was hoping for him to go fucking nuts.
I like that little scene the kids have backstage, like going into the show, and like the kids were like, "Oh, what are you getting after this? Like, are you getting an agent or what? You can get this, like you can get endorsed, you can get a commercial." I love that little slice of thing because I'm like, bro, I remember when I started in Hollywood or whatever, like all the kids I met going like, "Oh yeah, like I don't have my," I was like, "Oh, where's your phone?" I'm like, "I don't have it. My manager has it for me." I was like, there's so many like little things that happen in like Hollywood that are so freaking weird, and like that's so it, like just little kids talking like if they're like these big shots.
Like adults. I relate with you in some way. I'm like, these motherfuckers are talking like they're adults, bro. Like, what is up with that?
I think most kids do. Like, children are awful.
Are they though? They reflect off what people do.
There was this moment where this little girl said, and she says it off screen, like you just hear her say it. But there's this moment where she says, Stanley wants to go to the bathroom. He asks the stage manager about it, and the stage manager says to him, you know, you can't go right now, Stanley. And the little girl says, "This wouldn't happen if you were in the union, Stanley."
Oh my gosh, she said that?
Yeah.
I didn't listen for it. That's funny.
No.
Yeah, we even rewound it because I still didn't hear it the second time, but I guess the union boys, they know what it is.
Yeah.
That's great. I've heard that line so many times. It's like, you're non-union, bro. You're fucked. Sorry.
But it's really child abuse too, isn't it? Like that's kind of a thing that, you know, I don't know if PT was trying to touch on that, but it's really abusive to tell a kid they can't go to the bathroom. Like was the show live? You know, I guess it was live, wasn't it? But who cares? Let the little boy go to the bathroom.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
Fucking child abuse. Stutter.
The next thing I wanted to talk about, just because I'm still, you know, trying to figure out the movie, is like the character motivations behind John C. Reilly's character, and then also Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like when it comes to like John C. Reilly, why did he go to this woman's house? Why does he come back? Why is he interested in her?
He goes to her house because of a noise complaint that he received, that her music was too loud. And then I guess while he's there, he like, you know, kind of starts liking her. He's a little attracted to her.
Wait. And talking about the music real quick, she explained later that she had like some hearing problem or something like that.
Oh no, he was saying.
No, she had lockjaw.
He was saying that she might have hearing problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like their whole thing was awkward. I found their interactions painful.
Yeah, I was just
real.
You know,
because that's real love.
That's what I get about
out of a drug habit. It's real as fuck. This girl is out of reality. She doesn't know what reality is. She's like there in like this realm of lost drugness, and then like this dude that's actually in reality who's actually serving the community comes into her fucking life and just like, hi, I think you're pretty, but like in her apartment while she's like seeking, I mean, while she's at her house or whatever, but at the same time, she's like coming out of something, and like he comes into her life. Like, what is she supposed to do? Like, what is she supposed to do? Like, just receive whatever's like coming at her, but still, like, I don't know. This guy, whoever wrote this, was phenomenal because he knew what the fuck someone is going through, like the psychological factors that someone goes through when they're like in the midst of like drug habits or whatever her character was happening.
Yeah, I agree with that actually.
Whatever.
That's
You know, like, he knew what the fuck he was saying. That's all I gotta say.
It was both cringy and suspenseful for me because I was worried that like she's gonna do something crazy to try to get out of this situation with this cop, even though like we know from the previous setup, like John C. Reilly, like he's actually a pretty nice guy. Like he's pretty chill, but you saw that mentality. Like if he just finds the one thing that's off, he's gonna go cop. He's gonna go by the books. Like, oh wait, found drugs. Sorry, lady. As much as I think you're cute, gotta take you in. You know. But,
He wouldn't do that to her. He's not that kind of guy.
I don't know. I think he would have, but
I'm not gonna lie, and that's because of the times too. But like throughout the movie, I was just like, bro, please don't put John C. Reilly to be like killing black people throughout this movie. I was like legit praying like that didn't happen throughout this movie because I was like, this will ruin John C. Reilly for me forever.
I just like I can like intellectually understand the relationship dynamic between his character and the person that he comes into the house with, or whatever.
Claudia.
Yeah.
Claudia. I guess I didn't feel it. And in comparison, like when we're with Macy's character and he's at the bar, like they hit you on the head with exactly how Macy's character feels about this character, with the like camera and the angles and the music swelling in the background and the zoom and all the stuff. And so I was just a little lost in the weeds there. And then kind of similarly, I think that's why I have such curiosity with how you guys feel about Philip C. Hoffman's character breaking down and crying, because I feel like we really don't follow his character fully. And again, I can intellectualize like, I guess he's like sad about having to do this because he's probably garnered some sort of relationship with this person over time. But yeah, I'm curious, like, is that why he's crying, or is there something else that maybe I just didn't get?
No, I felt the same way because he's a caretaker, right? Because I was under the assumption that he was actually family. But then when you find out, like, oh no, he's there literally just to take care of him. He kind of has no real say in what goes with their matters at all. So I was also surprised later on, like how committed he was, like trying to reconnect him with his son, like just being the caretaker is all. So that I was surprised at. I mean, it didn't throw me off too much from the film, but I did question his motivations to why he would do that. But he seemed to be a pretty nice guy till the very end. So I was like, okay, maybe his character legitimately just cares for this old man that he's gotten to like know and like live by because that's his job.
Yeah.
I agree.
You guys are heartless. This man cares about what he's doing. You know, as a little kid, I thought that was the toughest character to kind of watch. Just like having, you know, like just like you just want to do good, and you see all this shit around you, and you're still able to like feel something for these horrible people. That's you guys got no heart.
When you say it that way, it sounds so complex and complicated, and like I want to watch that movie. I guess.
But let me ask you guys a question, because I've noticed in the OE Dimelo Cinema Club, you guys are a little harder on movies with all white cast. Fine. Would we be that?
That's my energy, by the way.
We have to.
And listen, I think it's completely fine. It's a fair assessment, honestly.
I think Steve is just rubbing off on everyone else of just the not enough brown people in it.
No,
Well,
wait,
here's the thing.
Molina was in there, wasn't he? He was a Solomon that docked from Spider-Man.
That was Alfred, Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah. So what do you mean?
I don't even know what race Alfred Molina
He had
is.
one.
Alfred Molina is English.
Luis
American English.
Luis Guzman had like 4 lines, so you know.
He had a.
Had like less than 5 seconds. I'm exaggerating.
Here's the actual question. Here's the question. The question is, how would we feel about this movie if it was an all-brown cast? Will we be like, it's brilliant, it's so good? Is this a fair question?
So no,
where's the story? But that's what I don't like.
Yeah, for me is a story too, and like to me it was just like they had 3 hours. Like in 3 hours, you can accomplish so much. You can do so much, and still, even after watching this movie 3 hours later, I'm still confused by certain things. Like
watch it 3 more times.
I feel like I got this. I don't know, maybe because it's a psychological thing and they probably followed a lot of Carl Jung. I don't know about it. Anyways, but he really like covered like certain things of like this person's going through this person's going through that, but we're all connected in some way. And he brought that into a story where it was able to be, I don't know, I understood every part of it, and I'm never a person that understands every part of it. I'm someone that just like receives things and I'm like, okay, that's what it is. But I was able to receive this and I'm like, I get it. I get what he's talking about. It's a larger picture. Everyone's connected. Everyone has a different story to tell. There's like, I don't know. I loved it. I don't know about y'all, but I loved the fuck out of this movie. Is my impression about it now.
She's like, that's my final thought. Bye, guys.
Not yet, though. I was too much in the big screen. I'm like, I gotta step out. You know, I'm a backstage person.
I mean, unless anyone has any other questions, my last question was just going to be like, why the frogs? And where does that come from? And is this something that just went over my head?
So for me,
I was waiting all night for this question.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this, honestly. But based on like I think Jason or whoever said earlier, that's something related to the Bible or something like that. For me, I was just like, once I looked around, I'm like, okay, it's LA. In LA, frogs can, just come out of the sky at some point.
That's a common thing. It's actually a weather phenomenon. Phenomenon. I can't say that motherfucking word. It actually always happens. A lot.
Shame on you!
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be real. If it weren't for the introduction of the film, the frog thing would have thrown me the heck off. But because they started the movie with all these like weird happenstances and like kind of unexplainable things, for the frogs to suddenly happen, like, no, I get it. Okay, why not? This is weird, and it's happening everywhere where they're at, so that's fine too.
That's honestly when the movie really lost me. I was just like, what? Frogs? For
real? It has to do with the Exodus 8.2, 8.3. Did you guys see in the audience there was someone that was holding an Exodus sign and then the fucking dude just like threw it out? And then you see it a lot before the fool robs the Solomons. And you see it on the advertising sign and you'll see it on the bus stop. And I'm like, what is he trying to say here? But point is, I sent a link over. I'm not gonna read it because I'm not. But yeah, there's no coincidence in life, this is what the fucking movie's about. There's no coincidence in life. We all intertwine. Carl Jung talks about this. I think Alan Watts talks about this. Terrence McKenna speaks about intertwining people. We're all meant to like meet each other and be connected in some way, and that's what I like about this movie.
We all share a frog inside, I think is what's trying to say.
Let's jump around.
Oh my god!
I had to.
I'm not gonna lie though, like the first two frogs, I felt those frogs. Like the
Oh
frogs
my God.
sliding down, like oh my god, that must have hurt. And then whoever did the puppeteering for the frog on the hood on its back, just like breathing, barely breathing. I was like, I felt for those frogs.
Yeah, I'm like the first couple of frogs I was okay with because like I was with my buddy one time out here in Puerto Rico like years ago, and he was driving and like a freaking paloma, what's it called that in English?
Pigeon, dove.
A pigeon just like smashed into his windshield, like out of the blue, completely out of the blue. So to see like the first, maybe second frog, okay, but then the whole sky is just raining frogs everywhere.
Do you guys not have storms of cookies in Puerto Rico?
No.
Okay, no. So to me, it would be way more suspect if only like one or two frogs like fall. Like all of them, yeah.
No, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was like, "Is the kid in the rooftop just throwing frogs at people?"
No, an airplane scooped them up.
There's two.
Threw them out
That's what it was.
like Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt with a cameo, just throwing frogs.
Patton Oswalt was the scuba diver that fell on that pine cone tree.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the blackjack dealer
at the Golden Nugget for like 12 seconds. Crazy. I thought really that I was gonna see this fool throughout the whole film, but he just really had like a 5-second thing, and I'm like, what the fuck? I like Patton Oswalt.
We all have to start somewhere.
That was his early stuff. I think it was before King of Queens too.
Yeah.
Don't do that to the cat.
¿Qué pasó?
That was something I guess over there. Anywho,
Yes, you can come and say hi.
does anybody have like a final question?
my niece,
Hi, how's it going?
Hola.
Hi, we're talking about frogs.
Ribbit. Thank you, Mama.
Does anybody have a last question before going to final thoughts?
Not me.
I guess no. So, final thoughts. Raymond.
Final thought.
I mean, I feel like everyone knows how I feel about this, which I guess I just wasn't in the mood for this movie like I thought I would be. I do think there were some awesome directorial choices. I do think the acting across the board was really great. And now at least I'll understand what people mean when they reference the movie, so I feel good about that. I love a lot of other PTA films. But yeah, that's my final thoughts.
No, I think I have to agree. Like, it's something that's worth watching. I definitely think that. Like, it's a beautiful piece of art. But it's not something you like. It's not something you sit down to like enjoy for movie night. If that makes sense. Like, this is something that you watch when you want to like try to think.
Gotcha. And for me, it's like it's weird because I think I've only not recommended like one movie out of all the ones that we've seen. But it's one of those like it has its moments. I love most of the performances, but because so much of the subject matter is so dreary and just unpleasant, I couldn't get much out of it. I don't know how else to explain it. Like there was not much for me to grab onto while watching, and I honestly can't recommend it. Cut to someone else.
I agree with Michaela. It's a piece of art. He had a lot to think about when he made this movie. I wonder what kind of drugs he was on, because I'm excited to know. Other than that, everyone's connected in some way. There's a message within this. Breathe in, breathe out. We all know each other in some way. We're all a mirror of life. That's all I gotta say. I'm a guru on that. The one is kicking.
Jason.
So I do feel like this thing has some esoteric type Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts vibes, like Naomi said. I hadn't considered that, but I think that's probably accurate. I think he might have been on his Alan Watts kick as he developed this film or something. But my final thought is this. Very well crafted film. It's undeniable. Very well acted movie. It is a piece of art for sure. It's not for everybody, and it's not for everybody at every time. It's definitely something that if you're in film school, you're going to have to experience, I would imagine. Speaking as someone who's never been to film school. But I would recommend it to anyone who does love film or quality acting. I would recommend it to every acting student there ever was, because if you can't find a performance in this thing that you can learn something from, then you're just incapable of learning stuff. I would recommend this movie to those people, to definitely film people, people who are like cinephiles, people who love P.T. Anderson. Because this movie is kind of like probably, I don't know what he did before this, but this might have been his first really big film, I would imagine. I don't know that to be 100% true, but it was kind of a coming out party for him. And for the time that it's made, this movie is really kind of a trip. And one thing that we didn't talk about, it's my final thought, is taking consideration the editing in this movie, especially the first 30 minutes. It's all over the place, and it tells a really wild story to start. For all the like cartoons and intercuts and stuff, it's strange, man. It's trippy. It seems like the type of movie that people, if it wasn't 3 hours, this movie wasn't 3 hours, it would probably be like a cult classic, and people will watch it at midnight showings for years and years and years. But if you started this movie at midnight, it wouldn't end till 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's just too late to be out. You got to get up in the morning, folks. That's my final thought.
Man, I agree a lot with what Jason said about just like, yeah, any film student should probably watch this, or actors, to try and figure out about good acting. I enjoyed it. You know what? There were haters back in '99 when it came out, and there clearly haters are still around. So
brush them off, fool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what can I say? I liked it. I mean, yeah, I did like it. It's 3 hours, but hey, so are a bunch of other movies. I don't know. I think now I just like it because I really liked it when I was younger, and I think my brother didn't like it, and so I was like, I had to like it in secret, and yeah, so it's just more powerful that way. Because as a kid, I was like, yeah, this movie is wild. What is that language? You know, I don't know. Watch it. Watch Magnolia. It's one of those kind of like someone was saying. I saw a video. Steve, I think, sent a food review, and I was like, "This is a food you can try it because you want to try it once, and it's good, but you don't never have to go to that same food again." It's like you should at least watch this once, and there's enough in there that I think is entertaining. Anyway, I don't know. Final thought. I think that's it. I don't know. I'm done right now.
Alrighty, Steve. Hey, final thought. My final thought of this movie was, I do agree with Jason. I definitely wanted to mention that, so I'm glad Jason did grab that. To me, like the first, like 10, 20 minutes, I don't know how much it was, but It's incredible cinematography, like incredible way to like storytell without like having to like necessarily use words and stuff. And I really enjoyed that. And there were moments of the film that it carried on with those things. Of course, the whole film can be just that. But I even wonder if this style of movie inspired Birdman, for example. That's like that type of movie that's like kind of following through and trying to make it like a one shot ish type of thing. And yeah, the acting is really, really great. I still believe maybe it's because I was doing too many things or whatever it was, but it's certain things about plot wise that I'm still ish lost about certain like relationship things that like went through with certain people. But overall, it is a good movie. I still think is too long. I feel like it should have been like more because there's been it happened to me. I think the last time this happened to me was probably an anime movie that I watched. Maybe it was like a Dragon Ball Z movie. I don't remember. That I was just like, okay, here's where you close the movie, but it kept going, and that happened to me with this movie as well. When I saw the frogs, that's when I lost it. I was just like, what is this? What is going on? Like what is this mess? Come on, please, people. But yeah, I would recommend this movie to definitely people that like movies for sure, that are into dramatic movies and acting and things like that. I would recommend that to them because this is definitely not a movie that would never be in my radar. And I still up to this day don't know why the title Magnolia. Can someone like give me that before we close out?
Yeah, there's a poster of a magnolia in one of the rooms, so that's why.
So that's the reason why?
Yeah.
I feel like they mentioned it in the movie. Actually, didn't it have something to do with like flowers and death or something like that? I feel like I should look it up right now, but I feel like it's mentioned at some point.
My roommate told me, though I don't remember if this was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. My roommate told me that they all lived off of Magnolia Boulevard, but
Oh.
See, if we had a clear shot of Magnolia Boulevard, if only we had out of the 3 hours, we had at least 5 minutes just be Magnolia Boulevard, I would have got it.
Yeah. Did you know that Sunset Boulevard took place in Wilshire?
I did know that.
I believe it. Art Deco scene, maybe.
I'm just fucking. I have no idea.
I would believe it because of the Art Deco scene that's throughout Wilshire Boulevard. Did you notice that? I love it.
It's still here.
All right. Well, before we go, I do have one question. I noticed a lot of places in LA that looked familiar in this movie. A lot of places I recognized it. You guys?
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
Burbank.
The moment he drove to like a gas station, I was like, I've been to that gas station.
Yeah, it's the gas station across the street from CBS, right?
I thought that was like in Highland, I think.
I don't know that.
Oh, well, the one with the frogs are falling, hitting them in the head.
Isn't that
I think that's the street from CBS.
I guess we're doing a road trip tomorrow with our iPad on Magnolia, and we're gonna try and figure out.
On location, Magnolia tours.
Yeah, you can do one of those buses and be like, that's where he got shot. That's where the frogs were.
And that's what I did with Snowfall. They were filming on Hawdale. I'm sorry. I'm into Snowfall right now.
Steve, what do you got for us next week?
Me, I don't got nothing for y'all next week. That's not my responsibility. It's the one and only. Well, it was actually a female, but she won't be here next week, unfortunately. But it is Dino's turn.
What? Hey guys, next week we'll be talking about Matar a un Muerto. It's a Paraguayan movie. So I'm really excited about it. It's been getting a lot of buzz from Paraguayan movies, which it's probably like 2 a year maybe that make it internationally. So I'm excited about this movie. Yeah, and I haven't seen it. And that's why I picked it.
I don't think we have not seen this movie ever either.
Thank
So,
you.
Matar un Muerto next week for Michaela, JP, Jason Echols, Raymond Arturo Perez, Now YG, El Don Dino, and Steve Des TV. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm JP Cerno and welcome. Hi, I'm JP Cerno and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Hi, I'm JP Cerno and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Fucking shit. Okay. Hey, I'm JP Cerno and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Right? Jesus Christ. And I just, as soon as it's the third one, because this is the third one, right? I am JP Cerno and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Oye Dimelo. Supercut. Hey, I'm JP Cerno and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo. Hey, I'm JP Cerno and thank you for watching Oye Dimelo Network. And click here for additional videos and don't forget to subscribe. The lonely singles in your neighborhood already did.